Qui-Gon Jinn, despite only being present in one of the 9 principal Star Wars projects, continually has one of the greatest influences on the events of the entire Skywalker saga. As the Jedi Master who saved Anakin Skywalker from slavery, trained Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and pioneered the practice of manifesting Force ghosts, Qui-Gon's influence is still felt across the reaches of the entire Star Wars galaxy, and his story is still very much relevant today. In life, however, Qui-Gon was a bit more of a maverick Jedi, often disregarding the will of the Jedi Council and facing his own path as a bit of a rogue Jedi. A good Jedi, but a rogue one nonetheless. Qui-Gon's independence is perhaps one of his defining character traits, and has led him into numerous conflicts with the Jedi Order. But what exactly drives the seasoned master's philosophy? What aspects of his past led him to developing this independent nature? And why did he evolve into such a prolific Jedi Master? Well, stick with us, weary travelers of the galaxy, and let's explore the life and mind of Master Jinn, and explore exactly what led to the development of certain moral and philosophical viewpoints that differed from that of the Council. Welcome back, friends, to the Stupendous Wave, and let's begin. From his early days as a Padawan learner, Qui-Gon had already had an incredibly flexible mind and acute sense of wisdom to him. When Qui-Gon was 12 years old, he was assigned to be the Padawan to Jedi Master Dooku, an acclaimed and famous Jedi for his swordsmanship. A few days into their introduction, he presented himself in Master Dooku's quarters, something that was highly unusual. Upon sensing fear in the young Jinn, Dooku asked what was bothering the young boy, and Qui-Gon showcased an early instance of detailed introspection and self-awareness that very few Padawans showcase in their early lives. To the surprise of Master Dooku, Qui-Gon was able to acutely identify the problem as being afraid of the Jedi path not being right for him, and was able to acknowledge his fear freely instead of suppressing it as many Jedi would and as many Jedi Masters had counseled him to do. He feared failing his master, the Order, and ultimately his duty as a Jedi, and his young wisdom impressed Master Dooku to an extreme degree. As deep within Dooku, he too had wondered the same. Dooku then led the young Padawan on a tour of the Jedi Temple, where Jinn became fascinated by the wildlife of 1,000 systems and the holocrons of ancient knowledge. This first tour would become his first encounter with prophetic themes that would later echo into the discovery of the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker. Throughout his apprenticeship under Master Dooku, Qui-Gon would continue to expand his worldview with the assistance of a dear friend named Rael Averos, who served as Dooku's first Padawan and grew into a renowned swordsman within the Order himself. Together, the two Padawans talked about their mutual experience learning under Dooku, and explored the holocrons of Jedi prophecy together on numerous occasions. Through his life at the temple, Qui-Gon used this independence to draw his own conclusions about the Force and the skewed Jedi dogma. Qui-Gon began to see the flaws within the Jedi Code itself, disobeying the code directly on numerous occasions simply because Qui-Gon believed it was the right thing to do, and he would not put the code above the right thing to do, much to the dismay of the Jedi Council, as word even spread to his other fellow Jedi. Though Qui-Gon's time as a Padawan was not the only defining era of the Jedi Knight's life. Upon knighthood, and during his subsequent role as Master to Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon continued to learn and expand his worldview while also passing his wisdom down to Master Kenobi. Obi-Wan believed that his master Qui-Gon could become a highly respected master on the Jedi High Council if he would follow only their directives, soon learning that Qui-Gon had rejected an offer to take a seat in the Order in an attempt to follow his own path completely, a decision that ultimately perplexed a young Kenobi. Rather than teaching Obi-Wan the laws of the Jedi Order, Qui-Gon often opted to teach him about the Force as an individual entity, separate from the Jedi perception and dogma. He would show him the wildlife of the surrounding systems, and show him the connections that they each drew between one another in the greater fabric of a balanced universe, teaching Kenobi about the Force, not the Jedi. Around 40 BBY, Qui-Gon Jinn was once again offered a seat on the Jedi Council, in order to replace Master Poli Yapatian, who was stepping down after years of noble service. And though Qui-Gon was surprised by the invitation due to his many disagreements with the High Council, he requested to meditate on the option. Though he was not on the most stable of grounds with the High Council due to their conflicting viewpoints, he saw it as an honor to be once again asked to join, as the Council surprisingly saw the great that Qui-Gon Jinn could offer a different perspective. Upon meditating for some time, Qui-Gon's mind continued to circle back to his Padawan Kenobi, and the thought that he would need to be passed off to another master if Qui-Gon accepted the invitation, which ultimately proved to be the final factor in deciding his subsequent rejection yet again. Because of Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon Jinn said no. Qui-Gon felt that he could do more good by being a one-on-one mentor to Obi-Wan, and he learned how to practice the well-being of the individual over that of the greater council. But perhaps one of the most devastating blows to his worldviews, and one of the events that led to his restructuring of beliefs, rested in a single word. A word that would shape Qui-Gon Jinn's perspective of the Jedi forever. Shortly after his second offer to join the council, he and Kenobi were sent to the planet of Bryn, where they served as the behest of the priestess, the Hare, on the Wood Clan. The Wood Clan, who was currently facing political upheaval. They helped to settle the conflict by peaceful means, though the Hare regarded the Jedi as warriors and ordered Jinn to slaughter her opposition, something that he would not do, while Qui-Gon refused and told her that it was not the way of the Jedi. Being labeled as a warrior deeply shocked the Master's faith and worldview, as this was a revelation that this is how the wider galaxy perceived the presence of a Jedi, as purely a warrior, not a peacekeeper as the Jedi Order was intended, or a helping hand, rather a weapon of violence. Qui-Gon learned not only of the deep-seated bias within the Jedi Order on a far more personal level, but he also came to understand the Jedi's image, reputation, and public perception across the galaxy, which left the seasoned knight disturbed for weeks after the conclusion of his assignment with his Padawan. Sensing the distress and confusion within Qui-Gon, Master Yoda approached the Jedi Master on a balcony of the Jedi Temple, and the two engaged in a deep philosophical discussion regarding the role of the Jedi in the galaxy, as well as their duty of a servant to the Force. Despite displaying conflicting views, they agreed that Qui-Gon should seek answers, which led to him following his own path for a time. And therefore, Qui-Gon's journey continued. Qui-Gon took a simple shuttle and an astromech droid and trusted the Force to guide him on his journey, which led him to a charted yet unnamed world which was rich with the dark side of the Force. Upon exploring the terrain of the planet, he came to a dilapidated temple and ventured into the throne room, where he encountered a horrifying Force vision of red, humanoid beings. With this, he leapt immediately into action and slew the creatures, only to find that they were the other reputable Jedi Masters, and by resorting to violence, he allowed the strength of the dark side to corrupt and consume him completely. Ultimately, Qui-Gon was able to break free from the vision, but it left him shaken and deeply troubled. This led him to the lesson of balance, as he came to learn that the unchecked imbalance of the dark side was the true threat to the Jedi, not the mere existence of the dark side as a concept. Through this revelation, he was able to cleanse the planet of its corruption and return it to harmony once again. As a result, the planet sprouted new wildlife and foliage for him to admire. Qui-Gon then sought to be more flexible in his viewpoints of the Force, following the will of the Force itself and being freely able to explore the Force in all of its aspects, instead of simply fearing the dark side for its simple existence. Following this, Qui-Gon would then pass on these unorthodox lessons to Kenobi yet again. During the celebration of life on Kashyyyk, Qui-Gon and Kenobi explored Wookiee culture, where Qui-Gon gave Obi-Wan an unconventional homework assignment. He asked Kenobi to feel the energy of the planet, the nature of the Force, and the imperfections in the universe that surrounded him, encouraging him to ask questions freely. This new worldview allowed him incredible flexibility within the Force, as Jinn became unafraid to question teachings in order to expand his education. This open-mindedness is what first allowed him to commune with the 5 Force priestesses who had managed to retain their consciousness after death. This was the first step for Qui-Gon to ultimately becoming a Force ghost, and led to Jinn pioneering the art of manifesting Force ghosts. His devotion to the Force and his disconnection from the Jedi dogma allowed him to expand his views, and allowed him to become an incredibly powerful and enlightened Jedi Master, the most enlightened Jedi of his entire era, which is why his demise on Naboo was so tragic. But even in death, Qui-Gon continued to be an incredibly influential Jedi Master on the course of the modern galactic history, perhaps the most influential of all of the Jedi besides Anakin and Luke subsequently. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of Master Qui-Gon Jinn? And do you agree with his perception on the Force? And would you like to see Qui-Gon return at some point in the future? As always, my friends, may the Force be with you, and I hope you have a great day.